I'm Jim Collison and live from the Gallup campus here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Called to Coach, recorded on June 20th, 2019. Called to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you have questions during this webcast, we do have a live chat room that's available for you, right? As part of the embedded video that is there. You can log into that. Many of you already have, and we will be taking your questions live. If you have questions after the fact or you're listening to the recorded version, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. And of course, don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com for all your Clifton Strengths coaches, resources, and training needs. You can also catch the video on both downloadable and streaming audio for offline listening. We call that podcasting, by the way. All the cool kids are doing it. You can get all the instructions. And if you're not recapturing that time in a train, in a car, on a plane, walking the dog, doing the dishes by listening to podcasts, we'd love to have you listen to this one that way. Everything you need is on the coach's blog. Go to coaching.gallup.com. Austin Suellentrop is our guest today. Austin is the new CliftonStrengths Portfolio Manager here at Gallup. I don't know, Austin, how long I'm going to be able to say new, but welcome to Called to Coach.
You. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Good to have you today. We kind of want to work through a community update. We got a lot of things going on over the next 2 or 3 months, maybe let's just say 6 months, because I think we've got some exciting things ahead. I've said this before. This is not a time, if you're part of the community, this is not a time to take a nap or distance yourself from the community. We have a lot of things we're going to be communicating in a lot of different ways. And so you'll want to stay close. I find every once in a while that I still have people say, hey, Jim, I just heard about the Yammer group. And I'm like, well, we shut down Yammer 2 years ago, but, welcome back. It's good to have you here. But Austin, let's start first. We just had this big, gigantic Clifton Strengths Summit, changing names. We got a lot of great stuff coming on here in the future, but give us a little recap of the summit in your opinion.
Holy cow. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of going to every Clifton Strengths Summit we've had, right? So I went to the first couple as a client, and then as a consultant with Gallup, and then this year sort of in my role as portfolio manager. And I think I had more fun at this summit than any of the years past. I love the energy of it. I love the excitement. I think this year was special in a lot of ways, but I was just blown away. I'm always blown away by the energy of the people that come, right? Probably, like I've often said, and I may have said this before, if you were to take a satellite image of Omaha, Nebraska for that week of the summit leading up to him coming down, there's this glow that comes from Omaha of just all the energy, the positive vibes that come there. So another great sort of chance to connect with people. The thing that stuck with me the most this year, probably more than years past, was understanding just how much is happening globally with strengths that we're just really getting into. We got 21 million people worldwide who have taken the assessment, but we're just scratching the surface with some things. And there's some things, pockets happening in new places around the world, or places where they've been doing it for a long time, that they're getting some great traction. And so it's just really exciting to sort of see all these new, cool, cutting edge things that are happening with it, learning from the wonderful people that come and the clients that come. I don't know. I'm still riding a high from that week.
Yeah, it gives me a chance to connect with individuals personally, those that come. Absolutely. And there's nothing like it. Like, I'd pay $1 million to do that, totally. Because I connect with many of you on Facebook and through the community and email and Messenger and all those other ways. But nothing beats a hug, a face-to-face, and a selfie. Like, that is pretty great. It's the highlight of my week. I told people I don't just have a bucket, I have a reservoir. And it filled the reservoir to the brink.
Yeah.
Austin, we've got a lot of changes coming. Mm-hmm. And so both around the strengths community and the summit.
Yep.
Let's clarify, let's give some additional information to walk us through a little bit as we think about the next 3 to 6 months, and even for the summit next year. Walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're really excited about the things we're developing for Clifton Strengths as part of the strengths movement to really bring strengths into the fold as the center of what we do at Gallup, as the center of all the great work we're doing with clients and the great work our coaches are doing around the world, of bringing strengths into the fold to connect it to everything else, right? Because I think one of the things that's been I've experienced in my own career as a client, as an independent coach, as a part of the Gallup organization, is that strengths can oftentimes live in this sort of silo of this really cool thing. It's this really cool tool. It's this really great conversation you have about your strengths. And when it works at its best, what we know about strengths is it's connected to the work you're doing, to the life you're living, to your day-to-day habits, your day-to-day routines. And so one of the things we're really excited, bringing strengths, Clifton Strengths, into the center of Gallup Access, for example, right? And getting Gallup Strengths Center, which has been living in isolation over here as a sort of independent website, independent place people go to search for strengths, bringing it into the center of Gallup Access, where we are devoting resources and energy and time to make that the premier platform. Like, that gets me excited, because that makes strengths one click away from everything else we're doing. It connects it to our database of all of our clients, our indices for comparisons. It brings strengths to the forefront of conversations. So from a sort of long-term view, right? The dream here is that strengths is not something that's off to the side or separate from any work we're doing. Strengths is at the center of all the work we're doing. And that's what sort of probably gets me the most amped up about what's coming in the next 3, 6, 9 months. Is we're about to take the first big step, right? With the formal sort of, bringing of Strengths Center into Access. But it's got a lot of other things beyond that are coming as well.
We have been floating that Gallup at Work brand out through a newsletter that we've been publishing, I think, for the last year or maybe a little bit more. Been very, very successful newsletter, has a lot of information. I've been sharing that newsletter and actually getting coaches in the coaching community, strengths enthusiasts, to subscribe to it. If you're not, you should. It's some of our best research and work. Austin, we've been spending a lot of time. It's no secret, if you've followed Called to Coach over the last year, I have been bringing in research. We've been talking about Q12. We've been talking about being, as a coach, being the smartest person in the room when you're a consultant or when you're consulting in an organization. We've been making this change. I've been trying to do this kind of, kind of slowly to get kind of people used to it. I did hear some folks, at the very end of the summit, talk to me about it and say, does this mean we're abandoning? So now we're calling it at work and workplaces. And when we think about all those things around education and maybe some faith-based organizations and some of the nonprofit, when we think about, we didn't mention dentistry. Does that mean we're giving up on Clifton Strengths for those areas when we talk about the summit? Is that what we're doing?
Absolutely not. So,
no. Boom. Done right there.
Right. And so I appreciate the perspective. I really genuinely do, because as a former minister myself, right, some former youth minister who I use strengths in my youth ministry for years, there are uniquenesses to that, right? That for a long time at Gallup we may have called out and I sort of really shone a spotlight on some of the uniquenesses of certain workplaces. But when it comes down to it, what Clifton Strengths really helps us do is have better conversations, human to human, understand humans better, so that we can achieve better outcomes together. Like ultimately, that's what we're trying to do with it. So when we talk about the workplace, I think it's a universal phrase for where people interact to achieve good outcomes. That's how I think of it, right? That big and broad. So schools are a workplace. We have teachers working alongside aides, working alongside administrators to achieve outcomes. We have in churches and in faith organizations, they're a workplace. The outcome may not be profit, but the outcome is helping improve people's lives, right? The same with nonprofit hospitals. They are working to achieve outcomes. They may not be profit, right? So when we think of like Gallup at Work or the workplace, I think there's a visceral reaction some people have to profit and loss, to stock prices, to for-profit publicly traded companies. And that's one segment of the workplace, right? And so we absolutely see Clifton Strengths as the center of all these workplaces, right? And so we do a lot of work in faith organizations. We do a lot of work in nonprofits. We do a lot of work in schools, right? In higher education organizations, right? They're all workplaces because there are human beings working alongside other human beings to achieve outcomes. So I think if we think about it in that lens, that's where we're going. So where do we spend so much of our time as adults and as humans working alongside people to get things done? And so that's how I view the relationship. And that's why I get so excited about Clifton Strengths being at the center of Gallup at Work, right? Is because it's now broadening the potential reach. It's opening the door to other things beyond just strengths. It's talking about the impact of strengths and connection of strengths to all those other things.
Yeah, and actually in our communities, around the strengths community, we talk about so many other things other than strengths in those groups.
Yeah.
And this will allow us to broaden it out and increase those numbers a little bit. Many folks have been asking me, we've been in that 1,500 range for the last couple of years. Will it get bigger? And I think this will actually open up. For those of you where you're on the fringe, if you don't feel like, Ralph has expressed this to me several times, if you don't feel like that workplace metaphor works or whatever, it's okay. Be the buffer for those around you. Make this translate it. Make it kind of work. Make it happen. It's oftentimes it's hard to get specific and have it match everybody. And I think we've got some opportunities there. Be the buffer, coaches, in there to kind of help folks deal with that. As we think about, and I've foreshadowed this a little bit, Austin, this is not a secret that we are moving from the Gallup Strengths Center to Gallup Access. We have been talking about this ad nauseum for 3 to 6 months already. Many of you know it's coming. What kind of information you and I are going to be responsible for communicating a lot of the changes that are coming? This is the very beginning of some of that communication. When we think about that move, what do you want to start preparing coaches for today?
Yeah. So I think it's a big project. It's a big initiative that you said, we've been talking about it for a while, hinting at it. So I can share a few more details today, maybe than we've been able to share in the past, which is exciting. I'm glad to do it. So we sent out some communication to all of our certified strengths coaches twice now around the certified coaches newsletter, right? Which if you're not signed up for and receiving, I really encourage you to do that. We give some great information in that. And so the first sort of conversation there was around this idea of the resetting of your discounts that you get, of the codes you use to purchase discounted assessments, right? And in that communication, we talked about the fact that on August 16th, right, we're going to be that you'll sort of freeze the ability to purchase codes on August 16th, but then pick back up September and be able to get a new batch of 350 discounted codes, which is exciting. We're going to give you that you can have the access to buy more discounted codes this year than ever before. It's a one-time deal, right? It's just this year, but we were excited about that. That was sort of the first communication around this. And so why is that? Well, because Gallup Strengths Center is going to be sunset on August the 16th. Like that's the day that Strengths Center will be sunsetting. So I can put that out there in the world now, right? And we will begin sort of the formal communications. You can expect the first email message from us on July the 10th. So on July the 10th, we'll begin reaching out via email to all of our clients. So anybody who's used Strengths Center to purchase a code, to redeem a code, whatever it may be, over the last 3 years, that's sort of what legally, when we're allowed to as far back as we're allowed to go, we will reach out to with our first formal communication of here's what's coming, here's what's happening, here's what you can expect, right? So we're, a little less than a month from now, we'll start our formal proactive communication plan in writing. So be on the lookout for that message. I say the best way to keep in the loop is that certified coaches newsletter, and making sure that you're subscribed to any sort of emails from Gallup. We'll be sending them out every way we can to get them out to you. But also this forum here with Jim and myself, right? We're here to answer your questions and help. So I'm excited to be able to start building in some detail with you there, right? So August 16th is the big date. So what do you need to do between now and then? What are the things you should be thinking of between now and the middle of August if you're using Strengths Center for code management, for helping your clients with codes? First of all, look at your plans for the rest of the year and for the early next year. if you have the opportunity to be doing a lot of code purchasing, take advantage of this code reset this year. Load up by the middle of August. Max out your code discount of 350 discounted codes, so you can take full advantage and get another 350 in the second half, in that fourth quarter this year, right? I think that's a really big savings. We're talking a couple $1,000, $3,500 of cost savings there if you're using that volume of codes, right? I think it's a really important thing to think about. I would, if I was in your shoes, if you've got events or sessions or coaching set up for, that third week of August, that week after the 16th, and maybe the week after, there's going to be a learning curve of learning how to use Access. And there's going to be a transition that you'll have to get in there and play around and see what can be done with it. So if you've got events coming up or sessions or clients you're working with, get as much done on the front end as you can before that 16th happens. I know in my style, my approach is I oftentimes will prep session at a time. So I'll print materials, pull reports, all that sort of stuff, one session after another. You've got a couple months now to be thinking ahead of what your calendar looks like, who the clients are you're working with. Maybe you want to go ahead and pull some of that earlier rather than later, just to avoid the rush of having to learn a new system and get all that material done in a crunch. That would be my perspective to be thinking about. But then also, if you are thinking about like purchasing some large amounts of codes, and you are thinking about taking advantage of that second sort of batch of 350 discounted codes from September on, I'd really encourage you to contact one of our Gallup sales team and think about, is a subscription to Access going to be a good solution for you? Is it make sense for you as you're purchasing those codes to have it sort of go towards the cost of your subscription to Access? Because that's one of the perks you can get this year as well. So I sort of tease that out, and we may talk about that in a little more detail.
Yeah, Austin, let me clarify a little bit too, because a lot of coaches have asked me like, okay, what if I don't want a subscription?
Yeah.
In that, the way it is on the GSC today is mirrored in Access.
Yep.
And so if you don't do anything, if you don't take us up on the subscription, you'll have the same functionality as a coach that you have in the GSC today on Access. So basically no changes.
Right.
There may be an exception to that, and we'll, again, stay close to us as we get going forward, something that may take us an extra month or two to develop to have ready for you. But straight across, don't need to do anything. What if we think about, if I wanted to, say I did want to become a client on Access and I wanted to kind of create that, and I can purchase codes. $1,500 puts me on Access, and I can use code purchases towards that.
Yep.
What else would I get initially in that move to a more enterprise account? Yeah,
absolutely. Great point, Jim. So I'm going to reiterate the first thing you said.
Yeah.
You do not have to purchase a subscription to Gallup Access to get the same functionality you have out of Strengths Center. Okay. That's coming when we migrate this in the middle of August. Same functionality you have on Strengths Center will be there. The subscription, what that gets you is that gets you new things you've never had from us before. Things like access to learn content at a higher level. So deeper learning information to improve sort of education around themes. The subscription unlocks a center of what we call teams functionality. So being able to create teams in Access that you can add and delete people to and from a team, and then automatically create a team strengths grid. So that as you add them in, as they complete the assessment, the grid is populated, and you can very easily, automatically, there's no exporting needed to create a grid. It's right there, right? And then you can, through that functionality as well, export that grid into PDFs to send an email, different ways. There's also other sort of team-based reporting that comes with that. So we have got a fun, exciting roadmap of new features and functionalities being developed around that. And so by sort of applying a code purchase in that fourth quarter to the Access subscription, you get sort of the premium content right away, right? Money you're going to be spending on codes anyways. So that's the exciting sort of, I think, new things that Access allows us to do, is as we're building and investing in what's always been sort of our our enterprise level sort of technology and functionality, the things we're doing for our big clients, which is what Access is, we now get to include all of our coaches in the same benefits. You all get to sort of take advantage of what our clients have been doing and our clients have been able to use for a while now, right? That's the part that gets me so excited. That's what I mean when I say bringing strengths to the center of the work we're doing. Is now this community, our coaching community, is going to be able to benefit from the same investment we're making for big international mega corporations, right? That's the part.
One of the biggest things of feedback that I probably get 10 of all the same, 10 kinds of all the same kind of feedback. But what I get a lot of common is man, Gallup has so many different systems. Could you just consolidate them into one? And while we will not, this will just take care of the GSC and some of the accounts associated with it. We are making some strides on this will be the first of a few as they begin to merge in. I think another advantage, and I don't know if we're ready to talk about this, so you can shut me down if we're not, but I think we get some unified store access as well, right? That's coming with this. And so today there's 2 or 3 different stores, and this kind of brings it into one. Anything you want to add to that too about the buying experience?
Yeah. So I would say one of the biggest drivers and perks of this is it makes the purchasing experience significantly easier for customers. So if you're right now doing business internationally, we may or may not be able to process a transaction in a foreign country in their local currency. We may or may not. This transition and the new setup of the new store we're doing allows it to happen in their local currency. So whereas right now they may use a credit card to purchase, and then they get hit with a fee of a exchange rate fee to convert it from their local currency to US dollars, and the credit card company charges them a fee on top of that, whatever it may be. That's going away, right? It's going to a local currency experience, and that's more the details that'll come down the road. But yes, absolutely, it's going to make the purchasing experience on the customer end much smoother.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that because it's a little bit today. It's a mixture of things, and so we get excited about that.
Yeah,
Austin, I want to throw a little advice for the coaches that are listening. We've talked about some things that are happening about if you are only on the Gallup Strengths Center today. I think I would allow us to let this merger happen to you. If you think in 2019, for the rest of 2019, you'll purchase $1,500 worth of codes. Should they contact us before they just go buy them? That way we make sure that they can get upgraded to that enterprise subscription account. What does that mean for future years then too? If we upgrade them to enterprise now, is that going to be a commitment for each successive year? Just trying to get them thinking about that piece.
Absolutely recommend you connect with a Gallup sales team member. They're going to be able to navigate that process with everybody. A lot of you on this call right now already have a partner at Gallup that you work with. If you don't, I really encourage you to reach out and make that connection with somebody. So yeah, it's an annual commitment when you do that. So it's an annual subscription you get. So it's not like it's a locked in forever kind of commitment thing, right? The code purchase you make, if you're already spending the money, it just makes sense to get the subscription with Gallup Access this year. It really does. And then you'll be able to see the functionality. You'll be able to see how much we're developing and releasing inside of there to sort of think about for your business going forward, how much sense it makes, right? I would encourage you to, before you go make a big bulk purchase, to absolutely connect with somebody so we can make sure you're taking full advantage of your spend with us.
I'll say it again. If you do nothing, you're going to get converted to Access for nothing. It will have the basic consumer subscription level for us getting started. Anything? So for folks, Austin, today, $1,500 for some is a big commitment. For those who are saying, well, so I only have consumer or this enterprise level, are we thinking of other things at this point? What would we say about that?
Absolutely. One of the things I really appreciate about the summit and about my time on Called to Coach or sort of traveling and working with clients is the unique needs that different bases of our customer set sort of need. And right now we have very limited options in terms of what access levels you get inside of the Gallup Access platform. We're absolutely working to sort of find what's like the coach package look like. What are the functions and the things that our independent coaches really need? So that's part of the things we're working on behind the scenes. It's not going to be ready to go when we convert systems in August. right? But we're working on what that looks like going forward to give you an option, to give you the features and functionality that makes sense to you. Right. So that's part of what I'm reaching out to the community to get input on. I'm talking with coaches. I'm working with Jim to sort of get some intel on what are the things that really would make sense for this group. So yes, we're thinking long term here that we'll have something to offer that is tailored for the coaches. And so that's what, again, gets me excited, having it part of Access already and not its own place to live.
Austin, at the summit, if you were there, we had an innovation lab. You had an opportunity to step in a room, see some things, but not everybody could be at the summit. What would be your suggestion if folks wanted to start kind of prepping themselves for this, just to look in the feel? And by the way, I was looking at the latest design for it, and it looks very similar to the Gallup Strengths Center, just to be honest with you. Kind of laid out similar boxes, some of those kinds of pieces. So it won't be that much of a difference. But starting now or starting in July, what would you recommend if folks wanted to kind of get a preview or see some things? Are we going to release anything, screenshots, that kind of stuff?
So that July 10th email will be our first sort of unveiling of some potential screenshots and what it may look like, right? So stay tuned to that. We're working with our team to make sure that when we send out a formal communication, it's going to be robust. It's going to have information and where you can go for more information. Right. So I got special permission from my communications team to even release the date today of July 10th that you're going to get that email, because I wanted to give you something. But that's when we'll really ramp it up. If you're thinking right now, hey, this subscription thing sounds intriguing to me, maybe I would want to get in there and play with it a little bit deeper, reaching out to a Gallup account lead, a salesperson, they may be able to set up a demo for you and show you some information that way. So that's, again, why we really stress going through a salesperson is the best way to get ushered through the process, because they're going to be able to sort of hold your hand a little bit more in ensuring you get what you need.
If you're Austin, you've said, reach out to your salesperson. If you don't have one, just send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Again, that's just coaching@gallup.com. And our lead response team will pick that up and assign the right salesperson in your area. Just be aware, we have just released the hounds on this now. And our salespeople are going to get super busy with your questions on that. I would say they're going to get a little backed up, and it's going to take us some time to get back to you. So be patient with us in that area. Again, if you do nothing, if you don't make any decisions, if you just let the 16th come and go, you'll be migrated in there and you'll have the same basic functionality that you have in the Gallup Strengths Center today. Austin, there's been some questions. If I'm a coach in an organization today that's on Access, and I also have a Gallup Strengths Center account as a coach, how are we going to handle that?
So that's a great question. And details will come with instructions around this as part of our communications plan. So if you have the same email address, right, at both places, you'll have the opportunity to merge those accounts, right? If you have different email addresses, you'll maintain different logins to Access, right? So I think that everything's gonna be driven by user ID in that sense. But for me, I was that way, right? I was a client for years where I had access to sort of our client portal, and I had my Strength Center portal. And then inevitably we would end up with passwords getting changed for one, but not for the other. And it became remarkably complicated because I can't remember one of my 84 passwords I have in my life, right? So part of the move here is it's going to simplify things. So if you have multiple accounts, right, and you are using the same ID to log into different platforms, you'll be prompted to merge. If you want to proactively merge, if you want to sort of, before all this happens, say, hey, let me get one account set up here, you can certainly reach out to customer support to sort of work on the merging of your accounts behind the scenes, right? But we will work to sort of automate that. That's part of the whole communication plan that's launching July 10th.
Yeah. And so if you have questions around that, and a few of you listening do, hang tight with us on this. We're working through those details. The July communication is going to have a bunch of details around it. But those numbers aren't large. So if you got some questions on how these merge will work, just contact us. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. We'll have somebody get back to you on those very specific particular instances. We've run some numbers, and there's not a lot of you in that. There are some, and we want to make sure you guys are taken care of. For the majority of our coaches, just who are only on the Gallup Strengths Center and don't have anything on Access, again, I'll just reiterate this. If you do nothing, you'll be migrated in a consumer subscription on Access, and it will look and feel and act just like the GSC does today. That's what happens post August 16th. We'll say maybe the 17th. It's going to be a big night. And for you. And then we'll begin to think through some future things. That's not the August 16th is not the end state, thank God,
Right.
of what we're doing. It only allows us to get everybody in one place and then to really begin to move forward. I am particularly excited about 2020 on this because I think we have some amazing things technology-wise. Our technology folks have been living, breathing, sleeping, eating all of this for the last year, and I'm pretty excited. They are too about some of the new functionality we've been thinking about. We are listening to your feedback as well. Send that in. And because you said it doesn't mean we can always just do it, but in a lot of cases we can put that feedback together, and I get a lot of feedback this way, so I appreciate it as well. Anything else you would add to that, Austin?
Yeah, I think to that point, we are to say we're excited is an understatement. Right. This has been a really long time coming, and this has been a vision and a dream for us for a long time to have everything be in one place. And this is the first big step to making that a reality. It's going to simplify the experience you have interacting with us. It's going to give all of you, all of our clients, anybody who interacts with Gallup a better experience because we're going to be able to focus our energy one place, rather than right now maintaining multiple platforms, right? So over the next 12, 18, 24 months, there'll be other projects like this to bring other things into the fold to continue to sort of make this the optimal place for you to live. I said in my last Called to Coach, when the live one after the summit, right? Somebody asked me a question that it's still in the back of my mind, which was, what's your best hope? What's your best hope for the future of strengths? And I've been thinking about that a lot. And I can see a time when all of us, everybody on this call, everybody listening to this, all of our clients, that there's an app on our phone called Gallup Access where I can go and I can navigate how to improve and utilize my strengths from everything from my 12-year-old, right? And how to interact with them at school and their teachers and how to give them guidance on how to use their strengths in school better, to my kids will be in college, thinking about careers and vocations, and that I can then use it when I go to work that day to have better conversations with coworkers and prompting me with things to think about. And I'm getting notifications that help sort of make me be more mindful of my strengths throughout the day. And that there's one place that Gallup is making that a reality for me every day. And for us to get there, for us to get to that state happening at some point, this is a really big step in that process, right? So that's why I'm so excited about it. I appreciate everybody's input. I was part of the innovation lab and helped do demos and hear questions and hear feedback. We had dozens upon dozens. I don't even know the number, 100, 200, 300 people who came through the innovation lab. Great insight we gained, right? So I opened the door. If you have the thoughts, the questions, the comments, the concerns, let us know. We can't work to make things better if we don't know what's on your mind, right? I know you'll let Jim know, because when Jim gets a question, he asks me a question, right? So keep them coming. Keep the open conversation happening. I try my best to be an open book with y'all as best as I can. So as I learn things and get answers to questions, I share them. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me in the next couple months and coming months as we go down this journey together. Yeah,
a couple things, just some questions from the chat room. One, if you're a certified coach and you're not getting our newsletters now, email us, certification@gallup.com. And again, that's I always say that too fast. Certification@gallup.com, right? We'll get you on that list. For some reason, sometimes you've unsubscribed to us and we can't legally send you an email. So we need to get you resubscribed to those kinds of things. That's happened to many. If you're not on the newsletter because you're not certified, that's okay. We're actually going to talk about 99% of this here on Called to Coach. So you might want to subscribe if you're not subscribed to this as a podcast, or if you're not subscribed to this on YouTube, you might want to do that right now. Just right below the window that you're watching right now, it says subscribe. Yeah, right down there. Click that. That way you'll get a notification every time we come up with a new video. Yeah. You're going to want to watch these. Austin and I are going to be on these a lot covering this. and you're going to get a lot of the information we need. To be honest, this conversion, since it affects everybody, really there's just a small part. We think about maybe the coach's discount and whatever we're going to do in the future that are going to affect the certified coaches. It's going to affect everybody moving forward, whether you're certified or not. If you're not certified and you've bought codes, those codes will come across. You'll see all those, no loss of data. You're going to get all that information across. We're going to migrate it and import it. It'll be available for you there. The results are there. Still sharing features available in Access, just like they were in the Strengths Center. Those pieces are there as well. So that stuff is not going anywhere. And you can kind of stay up to date with us just by listening in. We make these available for you so you can get that done as well. If you, like I said, if you're not getting emails from us, a couple things too. Check and make sure we are whitelisted in your email. Email is the hardest thing actually to deliver to people because there's so many spam filters and blocks that stop. So if you haven't been getting them, check your spam filter, check your whitelists. Those just make sure that the email is getting through to us. Two, make sure you haven't unsubscribed from us or said you didn't want to get any additional communication from us. If you've done that, we can't send you an email. So let us know along those lines as well. And then I would say stay active as you can in our Facebook group. I will also, if you don't like Facebook, so facebook.com/groups/called2coach. We'll be putting a lot of that. It's our public group. It's 13,000 people in there. We'll be putting a lot of this information in theirs going forward. If you don't do Facebook, and many of you don't, that's okay. We have I always forget the name of this, but we have a group on LinkedIn that I can get you invited to as well. Easiest way to do that is just connect with me on LinkedIn, Jim_Collison at Gallup.com. And we'll get you invited into the group. So if you're a non-Facebook user, but you're using LinkedIn, we have a group there. We'll be posting some of these pieces as well. So lots of ways to stay connected. Would you add anything to that, Austin?
No, I think we're going to try our darndest to reach you multiple ways, right? To share whatever we can share in multiple ways. But let's say you miss all of that. Let's say you are like me and your life is crazy busy with kids and work and the drama of life. And you just wake up one day after the 16th and you go to log in to Gallup Strengths Center. You'll automatically be rerouted to Gallup Access. Your user ID and password will log you into Gallup Access, and there will be instructions on what to do then, right? So you're gonna have guidance and tools in every forum you can imagine on how to navigate this transition. I will tell you right now, Jim's point, it's going to feel very similar to Strengths Center. Why? Because we built it to make sure it would, right? There will be some enhancements and some newer, cooler, different things, but the basic functionality you're used to is going to be there, and then some, right? So again, if you think best hope, future, dream state for where we're taking this 5, 10, 20 years down the road, this is a big step to making that happen. So I appreciate the chance to be on here with you, Jim, and chat about it a little bit. Any questions that are coming up, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, we'll take a few. I'll re-give that Facebook address, just Heather asks. So facebook.com/groups with an S/called2coach, and not the number 2, but TO, called2coach. That'll get you to the group. Ask to be invited in, and then I will at some point give you access to it. It usually just takes me a few minutes to get you in there. And I will look up that LinkedIn group as Austin is answering any other questions we have. Might you guys have any additional questions before we go? It's been we've been kind of covering them as we go along.
Yeah.
So Ralph asked for certified coaches. He says for certified coaches, there is a private Facebook group, Ask Certification at Gallup.com, for that invitation as well. And that is true if you're certified and not in that group. I do find the actual public group, the larger group, to be at times a little more helpful. We get really, really into the minutia in the certified group, but maybe that's what you need. If you are certified, get in both as well. Cheryl Pace says, thanks so much. It's been a very informative update, I think. Austin, with that, I will say this, don't panic. Guys, as you're listening to this, don't panic. We have been, if you've been paying attention over the last 6 months, I've been telegraphing this a mile away. I wanted to make sure you guys had plenty of time to know. And so we're doing everything we can to make this a very, very smooth transition. I think you're really gonna like it. There will always be, like in any change, there will always be things that that don't go exactly the way we were hoping they would go, just let us know. And let us know in a way that we want to help you back as well. Sometimes I know it's stressful, but we will be here for you. And we're going to have a lot of folks on hand to get that done. And I think we are done here, Austin.
Wonderful.
Anything else you want to add?
I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic remainder of your week. We were talking in the pre-show. I'm going to coach an 8-year-old all-star team in softball this weekend in the state championship here in Alabama. So that's where my energy and effort will be focused for the next 48 hours. So wherever you're pouring your energy the next 48 hours, I hope you love it as much as I know I'll love coaching my daughter in softball.
Yeah, no, Austin, thanks for doing this for us. With that, I'll remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center between now and August 16th, as we know, and that'll be changing to my.gallup.com as we get there. If you have any questions, any feedback you want to send us, send that to us in an email, coaching@gallup.com. The more constructive, the better. We appreciate that, any feedback that you give to us. You can also catch the recorded audio and video of this program, past the past ones we did. Before this one, we kicked off season 5 for Theme Thursday, and we're excited about that getting going again. You can get us a link to all those for now. Again, this will be changing as well. We'll be talking about that in an upcoming webcast as well. Coaching.gallup.com. We will be migrating at the same time that to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. That doesn't work right now, by the way. If you go there, it doesn't work. Nothing will pop up for you. No. But another change that is coming and more things that we'll be talking about. If you are interested in becoming a Gallup certified strengths coach, or you want to see a list of all the courses that we have available, and we have many, they're available on our courses page. Just go to courses.gallup.com. And if you'd like to sign up for future webcasts, you all might want to do this right now. So go to gallup.com. I'm sorry. Go to gallup.eventbrite.com. Eventbrite is EVENTBRITE, eventbrite.com. If you follow us there, so create an account, follow us. Every time I add a new webcast, Theme Thursday, Called to Coach, anything we're doing, you'll get an email notification that it's coming up, and you can sign up for it right there. So many of you have done that, but a great way to stay in touch with that as well. I want to thank you for joining us today. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.